You knew it was a bad idea. Every rational part of your brain was sending warnings. You'd seen the red flags. You'd had the conversations with yourself. You'd made the decision, clearly, firmly, out loud, that you were done, that you weren't going back, that this time you meant it. And then they texted, or you saw them, or a song came on, and everything you'd so carefully decided collapsed in about 4 seconds flat. You didn't lose your mind. Your mind got hijacked. And there is a specific, well-documented psychological reason why the smartest, most self-aware people on the planet do the most illogical things when desire is involved. Understanding it won't make you immune, but it will make you stop calling yourself stupid for being human. If this already feels uncomfortably familiar, subscribe. This channel gets into the psychology people experience, but never fully understand. Like this video. Man, drop a comment below. Have you ever done something you knew was a bad idea because the pull was just too strong? And hit like so more people find this when they need it. Now let's get into it. Most people think of lust as just a physical thing. Attraction, chemistry, the way someone looks. But psychologically, lust is much more complicated than that, and much more powerful. Lust is a motivational state. It's not just a feeling you have. It's a drive that reorganizes your priorities. When lust is activated, your brain doesn't just add desire to your existing list of concerns. It moves desire to the top of that list and pushes everything else down. Logic doesn't disappear. It just gets demoted. Here's what's happening in the brain. When you're attracted to someone, your brain releases a surge of dopamine, the same chemical involved in gambling, drugs, and every other thing humans struggle to stop doing. Dopamine doesn't create pleasure exactly. It creates wanting. It's the engine of pursuit. And once that engine is running, it is very hard to switch off. At the same time, the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for rational decision-making, long-term thinking, and impulse control, becomes less active. Neuroscientists have actually scanned people's brains while they were looking at someone they were intensely attracted to. The judgment centers quiet down. The reward centers light up. This means that in the presence of strong desire, you are literally operating with reduced access to your own logic. It's not a character flaw. It's neurochemistry. Here is where it gets interesting. Because lust isn't random. The people who trigger the strongest responses in us are not always the people who are objectively the most attractive or the most compatible. They're often the people who activate something specific inside us. Psychologists talk about something called the limerence trigger, the particular combination of qualities that makes one person feel almost electrically drawn to another. And this trigger is deeply personal. It's assembled, largely unconsciously, from your earliest experiences of what love, attention, and desire looked like. If you grew up in an environment where affection was unpredictable, warm sometimes, cold other times, available and then suddenly not, your nervous system learned to associate that push-pull pattern with love. And as an adult, the person who replicates that pattern doesn't feel dangerous. They feel familiar. And familiar to the brain feels like home. This is why people are often most intensely attracted to people who are slightly unavailable, who give just enough and then pull back, who make you feel chosen sometimes and uncertain other times. The inconsistency doesn't repel you. It pulls you in deeper, because your brain is chasing the next hit of certainty from someone whose uncertainty is what hooked you in the first place. The people who are consistently kind, consistently present, consistently available, they can feel boring by comparison. Not because they are, but because they don't activate the chase. And the chase is where dopamine lives. Here is the thing that causes the most damage. When desire is strong, the brain doesn't just override logic. It actively rewrites information to protect the desire. Psychologists call this motivated reasoning. You start with the conclusion you want. I want this person. And work backwards to justify it. The red flags get reinterpreted. The bad behavior gets explained away. The gut feeling that something is wrong gets buried under a layer of reasons why it's actually fine. You've probably done this. Most people have. You've taken a clear warning sign and turned it into a reason to try harder. You've had a conversation that should have ended things and instead found yourself comforting the person who hurt you. You've left an argument feeling like somehow you were the problem, even when you walked in knowing you weren't. This is not weakness. This is the brain protecting the dopamine source. Because to the brain, losing access to someone you intensely desire registers as a threat, not a disappointment, a threat. The same stress response that fires when you're in physical danger fires when you think you're losing someone you're attached to. And when you're in a threat response, you don't think clearly. You react. You reach out when you said you wouldn't. You go back when you swore you were done. You negotiate with yourself at 2 a.m. in ways that would embarrass your 9 a.m. self. One of the most overlooked parts of this is how much lust operates through the body rather than the mind. Before you've consciously decided you're attracted to someone, your body has already responded. Heart rate changes. Breathing shifts. Attention narrows. Your body starts moving towards someone before your brain has formed a complete sentence about it. This is why willpower alone is such a weak defense against desire. You cannot think your way out of a physiological response that started before your thoughts arrived. Telling yourself not to feel something that your nervous system has already committed to is like trying to unring a bell. This is also why proximity is so dangerous when you're trying to create distance from someone. Every piece of logical certainty you built up in their absence starts dissolving the moment you're physically near them again. Because the body remembers. The body responds. And the body operates faster than your best intentions. Research on attraction confirms this consistently. Physical proximity, even brief eye contact, even familiar scent. These are enough to reactivate the neurochemical response in someone you were once intensely attracted to. The brain can be convinced to move on. The body takes significantly longer. There is a common assumption that intelligence protects you from this. That if you understand psychology well enough, if you're self-aware enough, if you've done enough therapy or journaling or personal growth, desire won't be able to override your logic the way it does for other people. This is false, and there's a specific reason why. Higher intelligence doesn't reduce the pull of desire. It increases your ability to rationalize it. Smart people don't make fewer irrational decisions when desire is involved. They construct better arguments for why their irrational decision is actually reasonable. They justify more convincingly. They build more elaborate cases for why this time is different, why this person is an exception, why the logical thing everyone else would do doesn't apply to their specific situation. Self-awareness helps, but self-awareness while the dopamine is running is not the same as self-awareness from a distance. In the moment, even the most self-aware person is working with compromised equipment. This is not an excuse to stop trying. It's an argument for building structures that protect you before desire arrives, not after. Because after is too late. After, you're already negotiating. The goal here is not to kill desire. Desire is one of the most alive feelings a human being can have. The goal is to stop letting it make decisions that only your logic should be making. The first thing is to stop trusting your judgment when the dopamine is at full volume. The moment you feel that intensity, that specific pull that makes everything else feel less important, that is not the moment to make permanent decisions. That is the moment to slow down, to wait, to let the neurochemical weather pass before you decide anything real. The second thing is to learn your specific pattern. What type of person consistently activates the strongest response in you, and what that pattern usually leads to. Not to avoid all attraction, but to introduce a pause when that particular combination appears. Because your most intense attraction and your most compatible match are often not the same person. The third thing is to take proximity seriously. If you are trying to create real distance from someone, emotional decisions alone will not hold. You need physical and logistical distance. Removing access is not dramatic, it's strategic. You are not strong enough to override your nervous system by willpower alone. Nobody is. And the last thing, stop judging yourself for having felt it. The intensity of what you felt for someone who wasn't right for you doesn't mean you made a mistake by feeling it. It means you're a person with a nervous system, doing exactly what nervous systems do. You didn't lose to them. You lost to your own chemistry. And that's a battle that has been happening inside human beings for as long as human beings have existed. The fact that you're trying to understand it puts you ahead of almost everyone. Subscribe if you want to keep going deeper into the psychology that actually explains why you do what you do. The next video is going to show you exactly how emotional manipulation works, and why the people it works on are often the strongest ones in the room. You won't want to miss it.